Good morning and welcome to the Sunday service. This morning we're going to do the evening meditation. After the meditation, our speaker today is Maharjan, which is going to be a talk. Right now, Subodha is going to be leading the meditation today because it was a little bit late. Subodha, in that case, we will meditate like shortly.
Let's get into a comfortable position, close our eyes, and take 3 long, deep breaths. And now let's develop thoughts of goodwill, metta, beginning with ourselves. This is a sincere wish, a wholesome desire for our true and lasting happiness. We might think to ourselves, may I be happy, may I be peaceful, may I be free from stress and pain, free from suffering. May I live with a heart and mind unburdened by greed, by aversion, by delusion. May I look after myself with ease. And then we extend our goodwill to our loved ones, our family, our friends, our mentors, teachers, and guides, those that we love, those that we admire, those that we respect. May they be happy, peaceful, free from stress and pain, free from suffering. May they live with hearts and minds unburdened by greed, by aversion, by delusion. May they look after themselves with ease. And then we extend our goodwill, our loving kindness to our acquaintances, those that we like but don't know so well. May they also be happy, peaceful, free from stress and pain, free from suffering. May they live with hearts and minds unburdened by greed, by aversion, by delusion. May they look after themselves with ease. And we extend our goodwill even to those we have difficulty getting along with, those we have difficulty admiring or respecting, even those that may call us enemy. May they also be happy, peaceful, free from stress and pain, free from suffering. May they live with hearts and minds unburdened by greed, by aversion, by delusion. May they look after themselves with ease. And now we extend our goodwill, our loving kindness, outward in all directions, in front of us, behind, to the left and right, above and below, outward into infinity, to all sentient beings everywhere. May we all be happy. May we all be peaceful. May we all be free from stress and pain, free from suffering. May we all live with hearts and minds unburdened by greed, by aversion, by delusion. May we all always look after ourselves with ease. And so now, with our hearts and minds uplifted with the metta that we have cultivated, let us now turn our attention to the breath. Ardent, alert, mindful, setting aside greed and distress with reference to the world. We breathe in, we breathe out. Knowing the quality of the breathing, whether the breath is long or short, deep or shallow, heavy, light. And we might ask ourselves what kind of breathing would be especially gratifying right now and see how the body responds. Allow this moment to become easeful and light. The body itself free from tension or tightness, the mind uplifted and steady. Continue returning to the breath. If the mind should wander, if it goes to thoughts of the past or the future, various fantasies or anxieties, set them all aside and bring yourself back to the breath time and time again, using the breath to string together moments of mindfulness, deepening into concentration. And let us stay in this meditative state for the remainder of our meditation until we hear the bell.
For the Dhamma talk, today our speaker, Maharjan. He's almost more than 10 years coming to our temple, close to 12, 15, I don't know. And we really appreciate about your help. And so we can start your Dhamma talk.
Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Ahara nidra bhayamaitunancha samanyametang pasubhir samanang. Dharmo ite samadiko visesa dharmena hina pasubhir samana. The Abbot Bante Santi at IBMC, their Venerable Sirs, friends in Dhamma. Thank you, Subodhi, for guiding a peaceful mindfulness brief session. That I hope that was helpful to you. And I hope you continue to practice that whenever you have a few minutes. I started the topic last month, and we were talking about how to stay rich. So if you missed the talk last month, so you might need to go back and watch. You missed some qualities to stay rich. And I was talking about spiritually. I'm not a financial advisor, so how to stay rich from spiritual practices. And in Buddhism, we have this we call 7 treasures. And we briefly talked. The first one is a strong conviction with wisdom. So you find teaching in the Buddha's teaching, the qualities that he has lived with, and looking at those qualities make you rich. And those qualities continue to keep you uplifted. And the second one we talked, practicing precepts, having good moral guidelines for yourself. And I want to talk the rest today. And the third one in the list is Hiri and Ottappa. That's the third and the fourth one. It's a Pali term, which means Hiri stands for having a shame to do or engage in misconduct. Either it is mental or bodily misconduct. And the fourth one is Ottappa, fear, a sense of fear to engage in those kind of bodily or mental misconduct. And to before we come back to that topic, I mentioned a saying in Sanskrit. So I learned Buddhism, Theravada Buddhism, the primary language is Pali. That is the language you see a lot of canonical writings are there. When I say Sanskrit, it's not necessarily pure Buddhist ideas, but it's influenced by or it influences Buddhism as well. So Sanskrit saying is more non-Buddhist, but same Eastern philosophy. In that saying, it's ahara nidra bhayamaitunangcha. So there are 4 things that's common to humans and animals. And they are food, sleep, fear, like you being feared of life. And the last one is, it says maituna is sex, but it's more like a sensual pleasure. So food, sleep, fear, and sex, those 4 things are common needs or common wants for humans and animals. So how do we distinguish humans from animals? It's a very fine line. And in that same saying, it says, ahara nidra bhayamaitunanja samanimetad pasubhir naranam. It's very common for humans and animals. Dharmo ite sang madiko visesa. It's the dharma that makes unique, the quality that makes human unique from animals. When you drop that, dharmo ite sang madiko visesa, dharmena hina. When somebody is deprived of dharma, the person is no different than animal. So pasubhir samana. And it's a strong statement, but if I would like to hear from you later when we have a discussion, what protects us, what keeps us separated from being animals. And now when I say animals, I know there are some certain animals, not all, are treated with a lot of respect and love, but when you think animal is a different realm, and they are not abided by any kind of moral guidelines. Animals don't know what is good and what is bad. It's the instinct. They have to survive. So if one animal kills the other animals, the sole purpose is to either protect themselves from danger or feed themselves. So there is no good or bad in their action. That's how they are programmed, or that's their instinct. But for humans, we have slightly, that's why in the word human in Sanskrit or in Sinhala we call, mentally we are more advanced, so we can think better. That's why we makes us unique. And this, I want to know, what do you think protects us? In Buddhism, we talk about two qualities, and Buddha named it, it's like the divine rules. The divine rules or the godlike qualities are hiri ottappa, the fear and shame and fear to engage in misdeed. So the other term is conscience or concern, right? If you think of bodily misconduct, that could be hurting, lying, killing, stealing. Those are all misconducts. And mentally, it could be harvesting or cultivating hatred toward others, having wrong views, extreme opinions, all isms like sexism, racism. Those from the mental misconduct. And those two things, we don't engage in them because the cause is we have respect for ourselves and we have respect for others. When we lose that respect for ourselves and respect for others, we are not different from animals because nothing protects us. There is a sutta, Buddha talk about the evolution of humans, and few of them talks about how we started with very short lifespan, and the reason our lifespan, human lifespan, got very short, up to 10 years, and it's almost like a not necessarily fact-based, but Buddha explains how human evolved. In that sutta, what is connected to hiri ottappa or shame and fear is when you don't have respect for other person, when you don't have respect for other individuals, there is no relationship. Think of how we look at each other, right? There's a teacher and student, and there's a worker and the employer. There's mother, parents, and children. There is friends and family. So all those relationships exist because we have a shame to not engage in wrong conducts. We have fear of the consequences. If I do certain things, it will continue, it will follow. There will be some negative consequences. And when people lose that sense of fear and shame, that lead to a lot of misconducts. And people would, in the same sutta, if you look in more in Buddhism, you find, why do people engage in such things? Well, they have trouble seeing things as they are. And in Pali, we call yatha bhuta jnana dassana, right? Not being able to see things as they are, rather wanting to see things as they want. So it seems small difference, but it's a huge, and that connects with why do you practice meditation, right? When we are sitting down, we're feeling pain, we're feeling angry, we're feeling betrayed. All those feelings, we interpret them as we want them rather than as they were, right? And that is where the Buddha's teaching of meditation, practicing mindfulness or any type of meditation, is training your mind to see things as they are, whether it is painful or pleasure, whether it is good or bad, trying to see things as they are. And these two qualities are very important to keep us protected in our society. When they drop, and I let you think about, how far people can take. Lies, betrayal, treating other individuals less than humans, that becomes easy practice. So the Sanskrit saying is very applicable when you don't have fear to do wrong things, shame to do wrong things, inhumane treatments, right? Immoral practice is everyday thing. It becomes very prevalent, and people will not respect other individuals, start to find differences to treat each other with less concern and less care. And that's the death of our kindness. And I joke with my class, what is natural for humans? Is it forgiving or is it taking revenge? I want to ask you. So what is natural for humans? Is it forgiveness or revenge? Revenge is natural. You know evolutionary psychology, right? We are programmed to stay alive and protect our belongings, disregard others, whatever it takes, you will do it. And you may have felt that strong, your physiological reaction when you're in danger. You forget everything, you try to run away, that fight, flight, freeze reaction comes very fast. So humans are designed, are biologically designed to revenge. Something endangered you, you try to either remove that danger or stay away from it, whatever it takes. Forgiveness is not. And if you don't have quality of forgiveness, loving kindness does not work. You will be very partial practitioner. There's a joke I tell in my meditation class, this person, whenever I do what Subodhi did, right? May I be free from hatred, may I be free from anger, and you try to list all the people in your life, so you forgive them, you let go of grudges, anger. And this person was very honest, told me, like, I practice loving kindness every day, but I always exclude this guy. I'm like, why? So the person has hard time letting go of whatever the person did for a long time. And that trouble, that struggle to let go of certain feelings is very powerful. And that's where you are now, treating that person with less kindness. So kindness does not work unless you put effort, because it's not natural. Forgiving is not natural. Loving kindness is not naturally natural. If that is the case, we can cultivate. Don't get me wrong. We have the potential to be kind. We have potential to even become a Buddha. We humans have that potential, but it does not happen just by sitting there. At least not from the Buddhist point of view. We encourage, like, there should be effort. The effort should come when you don't have qualities that is positive, wholesome. You put effort to develop that quality. If you have unwholesome qualities, let's say you don't know how to let go of anger, you don't know how to forgive, you must put effort to learn those qualities. And that's how we bring this. And biggest guideline, and that this comes from Buddha's advice to his son, Rahula. Rahula was very young, and Buddha was visiting him one day, and Buddha wanted to give a simple lesson. This young boy, 7, 8 years old boy, Rahula was cleaning Buddha's feet with water, and as he was done, Buddha wanted to give him simple advice. It's very important that you use Dhamma as a reflection, a mirror. In Pali we call adasa. We use mirror to see our weaknesses, to see what's wrong. Is there any kind of a mark or something that I should clean up? So Dhamma should be used. And by the way, the word Dharma has many meanings. And the root is Dha, which means something that bears, something that you can bear, and something that will uplift you. That's where the word Dharma comes from. And in Pali, Sanskrit, same root. And the Buddha said, use the Dharma as a reflection. And not just for the sake of knowing argument or defeating someone else or being show off. It's more for reflection. It's a very important practice. And Buddha gave this advice to Rahula. He was pouring water and there was a very little water left in the bowl. And Buddha said, what do you think of that water? And he said, there's very little water left. And Buddha used that moment like, it's okay. But do you see the reflection? Yes, I can see the reflection. So use Dharma as that reflection of the water, where you see yourself before, during, and after your action. So before you do something, make sure you ask yourself, is my action going to hurt myself or someone else or both of them? If that is the case, that is a misconduct. That is a wrong deed, whether it is mental or physical. You do not engage in that. If you are tempted, use effort to suppress those ideas. Sometimes the few ways you can do, you think about something else. You don't think about it. Or you think about what would be the consequence of that thought. Or sometimes you might want to go back. Where does this thought came from? I want to hurt somebody. Where did it start? It might be a simple comment. It might be a misjudgment of a misperception of certain idea. So Buddha advised, you go back and examine whether my action is going to lead, is going to hurt that person or myself or both. That's before. And while you're engaging in action, reflect again, use the Dharma. Is this action is benefiting me or hurting somebody, or both? And when you know that it's not, then you can pursue. If it is, then you try to suppress it, remove it. And same thing after you engage in that action. So sometimes it's hard, like I don't know what is right or wrong, but we all have gotten these guidelines. We study, we know there's some universal law, I would call universal law like a 5 precepts. Whether you are in the United States or in Nepal or in Sri Lanka, hurting somebody is bad no matter what, right? Killing some depriving someone, some living beings from life is wrong. It doesn't necessarily need to be like, oh, in my culture it's okay. Well, you justify that way, but it is wrong. Stealing it's wrong, right? Sexual misconduct is wrong. So those principles should be sometimes the guidelines for anybody in any part of the world. And the part is you make sure you are aware that when you don't have awareness, that's the problem. When you're aware, like, am I okay to do this action? Am I ashamed of engaging this action? That means if you are, you have this hiri. Hiri is the shame to engage in wrong deed. And you're fearful. Not necessarily you believe in karma, sometimes the immediate consequence, right? You hurt somebody, it doesn't need to have like, oh, I believe in karma, therefore I don't engage in misconduct or misbehavior. Sometimes there's like actual mishap in this very life. You don't need to wait for a karma to take place. So those are very important when we have these consciences, sense of fear, sense of shame to engage in misconduct. That becomes our wealth. And it's an ongoing practice. It's not just you do once and you're done with it. It's ongoing practice. And the last 3 of them, I'll keep it short so we can have a little discussion, is those are 2, this 3rd and 4th treasure people can have. And Saddha Sila, Hiryottappa, Sutta. Sutta is the wealth of knowledge that comes from hearing. Now, hearing it could be reading a book, it could be listening to a Dhamma talk. That is not suffice. That's very important that we engaging some kind of Dhamma listening, learning and studying. What's more important is reflecting on it. You listen a new piece of information, spend some time thinking about how does it apply in my life? What does it do? And the fifth one is the listening, and the 6th one is chaga, generosity. And there are many ways you can hear about generosity or giving. One of them, very important part, is whenever you give as if it's dirt in your hand. You don't care when you wash your hand whether that dirt is going to go to the right place or wrong place or clean place. You let go. And I've mentioned this many times. When you practice giving, if you have a string attached to it, I want to be famed or popular, I want to have a named for these, then you're still not practicing proper giving. It's to help you to let go. And I had a class discussion on existential therapy. There is a day we have to let go of this life. So it's actually practicing for that day. When time comes, you're not suffering. It's not necessarily physical pain. You can avoid the suffering part. You're attached to this life, attached to human body. And my friend of mine is a very good Dharma practitioner. He listens, and we had a couple discussion. He is going through a medical surgery. And we had a few discussions. He was struggling to let go of some of those everyday activities that we identify as me, myself. So when you practice giving, it helps to embrace those changes. As you age, as your health change, it helps. So giving is, yes, you help somebody, but you're helping yourself more than helping the other party. And the last one is wisdom. Wisdom of no self. Wisdom of how this life should be. That yatha bhuta jnana dasana. And wisdom comes from practice. Wisdom has to come from practice, like practicing meditation, listening to Dhamma, and especially that sense of the awareness, yoniso manasikara, that's a term in Pali. That means you have this current knowledge, your awareness of this current moment. Now, one of the classes I teach is addiction and recovery. And students often ask, right, how do we help people, those who have addiction? There are medications, there are treatment, there are therapy, but I have myself caught what made me stop from doing something that's harmful or that's excess, that's too much, is when I am aware of my action itself. Right? The power of awareness is so good. It changes the course of action. It changes immediately. And that's where this practicing mindfulness is for. It is to help you that split second of awareness, right? You might be tapping yourself, you might be drinking too much, or doing something that you did not even think. As soon as you have that awareness, oh, I'm doing it again, it's hard to do it again. It makes it weaker. So that's the power of awareness. And that is momentary awareness. And when you make it a habit, when you make it like your lifestyle, that's what we call wisdom. The wisdom is the practice of living with that awareness. And that's where you can let go of many things. And it could be grudge, it could be our ego, it could be that self-made sense of self, identity. Those becomes easy to let go, because we talked about this in the past. Because when we say self, like ego, it's nothing but it's mind-made idea. You can tell, I have certain qualities, like let's say you have certain skill, you can play music, or you can do certain fine art, you have a very good vision, you have a good hearing. Those are based on actual sensual data. You do practice a lot and it becomes actual skill. But when you say ego, the self, there is no basis for it. It's all mind-made. You created that, this is Sai, I am so and so tall, these are my background, these are my practices, these are my history. It's all self-fed. We keep telling that story to ourselves so we don't freak out next day. So when you wake up in the morning, you look at yourself in the mirror, who the hell is this guy? And you should have some memory of who you are. And we create that every day. And the funny thing is, now we believe that is so real. We created our identity and now we buy into our own belief. And that becomes me and I. And that becomes the biggest enemy of wisdom. Because once you have that identity, you don't want to see things as they are. You want to see things as you want it. That becomes the beginning of all ignorance, all problem, lack of practice. So wisdom helps to be on the reality check, stay ourselves in the course. As humans, there is a certain conditions that we face. As humans, we have certain weaknesses. And when you can have wisdom, that discernment, it will help you to stay in the right course. And this time, I think this current period is very important that we continue to listen and, more importantly, reflect on these Dhamma qualities. So these 7, wealth, with treasures, and according to Buddha's teaching, they are, so I'll make one more time. Well, let's see. The first one is confidence in Buddha, Dhamma, and Sangha, and good practice of morality, shame and fear to engage in misconduct, listening to Dhamma. And the 6th one is generosity, and the last one is wisdom. So these are called 7 treasure. When you have them, you're never poor. It never gets you wrong. So those qualities continue to guide you in the right direction. As I say this very often, we have seen the Buddha in the past. We must have been around that time period too. We got distracted. Maybe life happened, family happened, some other duties. But once you are aware that, hey, we need to continue in this journey so we can shorten our samsaric life. Because it doesn't matter how rich, how healthy, how wealthy you are, the life continue to go toward the end. And we want to end the whole cycle. And the only way to do is stay in the right path, stay in the right understanding. And hopefully these few ideas that you heard, and you will reflect on it and continue your journey in this search of enlightenment, in the path of long lasting, right, free from suffering. Thank you so much. Yeah, any questions?
Yes. Any question, any comment? We have time, 2 hours.
just struck once, and I love feeling here. And you speak of principles so clearly, and I always get excited because I say, this is so clear, I can practice this. But I know from experience, I can walk down the street and an old habit will get me. Or I can meet with friends later this afternoon, and their immediate influence will be stronger than some. And like anybody, I want to learn more and more. But when you're always talking fundamental principles, well, it's a handful. I think my TV head wants to get all this other stuff. So I would love for you to address the value of repetition in the teaching. That that's the repetition, it's not wasting time to hear simple principles again and again. If you can address the value in that in practice and improve it.
Yeah, so thank you. Remind me your name one more time. What's your name, sir?
Oh, Paul.
Paul.
Yeah.
Paul. Thank you, Paul. Yes. There's a really good analogy I read in Bhante Sayadaw U Pandita's book. He talks about the power of consistency, the power of repetition, right? Engaging in this practice. He used this analogy of like trying to make fire using two sticks, right? You have a stick on a wooden board on the ground, and you put some, dry leaves, and you use another stick to rub against it. What happens if you rub for a few seconds and you take, okay, I'm done for now, I'll rub it again later, right? You do that for a few times and you rest, and you again come back and start rubbing, you rest. You will never ignite any fire. So the power of practice is that continuous, even it's less. So most of the time people find excuse than the reason to do the following the teaching, and simplifying the teaching, taking what you can is very important. And like you mentioned, there's so many teachings, so many distractions. Even in now, I'm not that old, but when I was a student, we did not have as much as resources online like now, right? Right now you have abundant. It's so hard to filter and identify what is valid, what is not valid. And that alone will dishearten you, like, I'm not going to do it. This is too much. And same thing with, and Russell and I talked about, a lot of textbooks, a lot of people, podcasts, and this and that. But if the Buddha was around, that what I like to think of that, there was another monk, same concern, like, I don't know where to start. There's so much to learn. And Buddha gave 3 simple direction, like, you don't need to do everything. You don't need to work on all of them. Just take one, either the simple advice, sabba papas akaranam. First thing you can try to do is stay away from all the bad deeds. That's all you need to do. You know what that is, and try to find one quality that you have not cultivated and invest on that little bit, whether it is being mindful, whether it is showing kindness. And when you're done, now let's work on your mind. Let's work on deepening your knowledge. So simple, stay away from trouble, get into some good habits, deepen your knowledge, or purifying your mind. So it should be practice every day. It's doable, 5 minutes, every day practice. And actually it becomes a very powerful karma. So if that helps, because when we are in the moment of death, right? Now we are passing away, this life is over. In that moment, we have this thought. The very last thought is called chuti chitta, the departing consciousness. And that departing consciousness look for one of the strong karma that we have done in this life, right? And that could be, it goes from the very top to the lowest. So top one would be strong practices. We call garuka karma, right? Very strong, weighty karmas. And then if you don't have any of them, most of the time people don't engage in any strong practices, Then the second one will be achinna. Garuka asanna. What is the proximate action you did? Something you did. And that's why in Theravada Buddhist practice, they invite monk to give talks or listen to chanting right before somebody dies, right? So they have this more positive experience. So if you don't have that one, then it looks for achinna. Achinna kamma means something that you have done for a long time. That's what I'm trying to point out. If you have practiced small, whether it is 5 minutes of mindfulness, 5 minutes of loving kindness, and if you have done that, that consciousness, that karma will be the root for your departing consciousness. And that departing consciousness defines what your next life is going to be. And my teacher gave this from his example. When I met him, he was already 65. And he was monk since 12 years old. And he told me, I've seen him when I go to clean his room, get him tea as our, novice ritual in Sri Lanka. Bhante is lying down in his bed and still like awake but not getting up. And one day I asked him, Bhante, why are you still staying in the bed? And he said, I always practice loving kindness before I get off the bed. And he said he did that since he was higher ordination, that is when he was 20, all the way to 65. And he kept that practice. Because when you believe it, it happens. It's not necessarily it's believing, but he kept this practice for a long time. And I can tell you more about him. He grew up with nothing, and he ended up being the most venerated person in the country. He got the most respect and attraction from all walks of life. Politicians, presidents, different religious groups. He was well received because his practice resonated, his lifestyle. So I hope that's like one way to reinforce, like, yes, consistency is the key. Yes.
Hi, my name is Nancy. This is the first time I've ever been here, and I got a lot out of your speech. And I'm a recovering addict.
Okay.
And I've learned mindfulness, kindness, and being kind to others will bring you back more being mean to others.
Yes.
I used to be a very, very angry person. And when I got into recovery, I learned to let that anger go. And you brought a lot of more sense. I don't know how to say this. Into it, I've been practicing already. And I just want to thank you so much for your discussion, because it's opened me up even more to what I've already been practicing, and I've learned a lot from you today.
Thank you so much, Nancy. Thank you for.
I'd like to know how I can get a copy of what you said today.
I know. I need to work on that. I'm supposed to, but it's recorded. The session is recorded.
Okay.
You can find on YouTube if you replay and some of the talks I referenced to from the past, like last month and so on. So there are some resources. But I really appreciate you being vulnerable and sharing your experience, and that to me is a success of my hour and a half trip to temple, trying to share what I have learned, what I have practiced. I used to be a Buddhist monk for 16 years, and that has been my motivation since, Bhante said, it's been about 13 years, Bhante. Since 2012, I've been coming here to on and off, but now more often, on regular basis. But wherever I go, wherever I share these ideas, what sticks with me is stories like yours, Nancy. People see it helps them to put into perspective. I'm in the right direction. I chose the right practice or right behaviors now that putting me in the little different side than before. And when I hear that nothing is better than those kind of gift. Yes.
You really put goosebumps on me today. It was really intriguing for me.
Thank you.
I thank you a lot for that.
Thank you, Nancy. Thank you so much for being here. Yes, Anand.
Like always, the way you give a talk is very clearly communicated and very easy to understand. I have a question though. It's, after the Buddha got enlightened, the Mara tried to tempt him. Is Mara a real demon or is something like in our head?
It's a mythical story, right? When you read mythology, you read with some caution. Like Buddha was born and he walked 7 steps, right? A newborn can't walk 7 steps. It's a mythology to give more respect and add little more dramatic in the story. Same thing applies with when Buddha was practicing. The actual name of the Maras are not beings. It's the defilements. So one of them he faced was Mana, which is conceit. So conceit is not a Mara. We call Mara because it kills good quality. In Pali, the Mara means something that kills. So Mara is not a being, but there is a group of beings they call Asura. That's a different form of life. But Mara is referred to defilements, the challenges that we face. Anger, that's one of Maras. And irritation, that's a type of Mara. So what Buddha faced was his own mental defilement. He was challenged. Do you really want to do this? Because this will transform you, not just change, it transforms you. And the last fight, and I think Paul mentioned, you learn so much, you practice so much, you go down the aisle, you go down the street, you see somebody, old habit kicks in. Well, that's the Mara we have. Even you've been sitting there so well and doing so well, as soon as you get out of that practice, there's a layer of klesa or defilement we call dormant. It's not always active. There's a very deep down we have our weaknesses, and they arise when there is opportunity. So that's what Buddha faced. And it's actually the defilements or mental factors that challenged Buddha when he was about to achieve this enlightenment. Does that answer your question, Ananda?
Yeah, so the defilements are inside of us, right? It's not like an external demon that...
No, it's always inside us. Anger is nowhere. That's good news, right? But it's everywhere in us, right? So anger, jealousy, hatred, it's nowhere outside. It's good news. It's all in us. That's bad news. So whenever we face certain challenge, we interpret that as a threat. That's what I tried to tell them earlier. That's like how we perceive, same comment, like you make a comment, same comment. So Bodhi might find that's very nice, very reflective. My misunderstanding may lead to like, oh, that's a criticism to me. So it's the same statement, two people perceive 2 different ways, and same treatment. And there are some, of course, obvious, like hurting or saying intentionally saying things, but still, if you were to look up to the Buddha, people say nasty things to the Buddha. I think one of the talks I shared, this young man very upset because his brother became monk and he didn't like it, so he went to the Buddha, started saying a whole bunch of nasty things to the Buddha. He was just standing there without any reaction. And Buddha asked, do you invite people? I was like, what kind of question is that? I just said a bunch of things to you. You're supposed to reply. And Buddha asked, do you invite people? Yes, I do. And what do you do when you invite? We treat them with some good, food. What if they say, I don't want to eat? And the man said, well, if they don't want to eat, we're going to share with my family. And Buddha said, whatever you told me a minute ago, all the nasty things, I don't want to take them. It's all up to you. It's all to yourself. So the way we take, that's again, in Abhidhamma, there's a process how we perceive things, right? There is a contact, there is a sensation, there is our intention, and there is a moment where you can decide whether that is to consume or not. That's the hard part for humans. We are carried away by interpretation than actual experience. So practicing meditation, practicing mindfulness is to pause right before you apply your interpretation to those experiences and make more. In Pali term we call proliferation, right? Papancheti. As soon as you perceive, you interpret, now you apply proliferation. You go on your own mental walk. You miss the point. That's not the experience. So all emotions are not bad. Physically we feel it. When you're angry, your body get tense, you start breathing deeper, your breath is a lot faster. But that's emotion, that's physiological. How you react to it is up to you. You have the power to choose. Okay, I don't have to say things, I don't have to do these things. And you can take some other actions. I think I briefly mentioned in Vitakka Santana Sutta, it's very nice simplified advice. Whenever you have the strong emotions come in, you can either do opposite, right? You think the opposite of it, or just suppress that thought. I don't want to think about it. And sometimes you might need to go backward. Where did it start, right? Look for the origin of it. And none of them work. Here's the Buddha's best advice. I don't know how to explain it in English. So both you can help me. You clench your jaw. When you use a lot of effort. Have you done that? You're trying to lift like 100 pound, like your teeth, upper and lower jaw clench on each other. So you how do you say that?
Well, yeah, you're already saying it, like the idea of clenching your jaw, but there's even references where the Buddha's you place your tongue up on the roof of your mouth and you just kind of suppress.
There you go.
Whatever,
so Buddha's, that's not my idea. That's Buddha explained. When you can't let go of an emotion or certain negative thoughts, you clench your jaw against each other and you suppress your tongue up your roof, and you tell yourself, I am not going to react. So it's like a physical way to show, you can use that much of effort to suppress or not react to.
when all other tools have failed.
Yes.
Brute force. Yeah, brute force.
What's that?
Brute force.
Brute force. There you go. Brute force. So yeah, emotions, you feel it, we all feel it, it's out there, we all experience. How do we react, how do we face them is very much up to us. Yes, Russell.
Yes, thank you again. I'm not sure whether, I was going to ask you a question on one of my habits in my kingdom. Whether it's legit or just like a fast food version. You mentioned the last thoughts. So a lot of times if I have a sleepless night or something, I cannot sleep, then I would do just a short chant or think about loving kindness, and then immediately then I fall asleep. And then I think, well, sleep is kind of like little death because you're kind of unconscious, so in case I don't wake up, maybe that will be my last kind of conscious thought. Or sometimes on the airplane, and a lot of turbulence, then I also chant because I figure, okay, this is rock, then at least, my mind is somewhere kind of an acceptable.
That's it, right? Yeah.
I mean, it sounds like a fast food version of what you just talking about.
No, that's.
Well, sometimes I actually do it because it kind of works.
So you're saying, is that going to be your last thought?
No, I mean, is that a legit way of
Yeah.
doing things?
Well, yes, one way, not just the only one way to do things. Because there was one time I don't know, maybe in West Virginia somewhere, a very new person in Buddhist community asked me, you talk about a similar topic, you talk about departing thoughts, departing consciousness, how about somebody who dies in a car accident or sudden death, right? And I told same answer, you have done so many things in life. When you are, even it is sudden death, mind works really fast, and sudden death does not mean mind could not generate that departing thoughts. It will be there. And when that departing thoughts comes, that's where it goes through. What are the weighty karmas you have done? What are the habitual karmas you have engaged in? What is the the proximate action you engaged? So what you do, like before, I want to think that, not necessarily when I go to sleep, but when I travel. When I travel to Nepal, it's 16 hours of plane. Many possibilities, many things could happen. And I like to, just like reflect on that for a moment, reflect on having these positive thoughts. And if that is it, I want to be very certain that, yes, that's a good practice you engage in. And actually, I might do that, what you said, Russell. I will practice loving kindness before I go to sleep. What if that's my last night, right?
Just as an optional thing.
Yes.
Because, at least it's a privilege, at least you do have something to, that's kind of positive to put your mind in a certain state, rather than thinking of the last YouTube video you watched.
Yes. And unfortunately, before all this, distraction in Sri Lanka, and Bantis can share more, this practice is culturally embedded. From very early on, 3, 4 years old kids, they go to temple with a bouquet of flower. And first thing they do is go to the Buddha and put the flower there and bow. And there's some stories in Buddha's time. A child who could not move just happened to see the shadow of the Buddha. And that experience itself helped him to be in a better place after life, right? So there are stories for a reason, because it's encouraging. Again, I like to think of those stories as a mythology, right? It could be true, it could be not true, but the underlying message is what you practice even for a short time, like a long term, offering flower. When you start, you don't know, but the deep philosophical message there is like you offer flower because flower does not last forever. And you think of your life with the same manner. Life is ephemeral. It continues to decay. And you offer light, you offer water. And when you do these practice in Sri Lanka household, they do that. They have little altar, they put water, they put flower, they light candle. And it's becoming, I think in Sri Lankan houses, I still see that. And in temple, when I was in temple, we do that. It's almost automatic. That's the habitual karma, right? We do, and it becomes strong practice. And that's what consistency. So whatever you can. So just to close, whatever you can, it doesn't need to be particular action. Again, practicing loving kindness, practicing forgiveness. Start yourself. Start that loving kindness toward yourself. Having that positive thought, I want to be less angry. I want to be less hurtful. I want to be less mean person. That's a good place to start. And keep that practice. Don't let it die. And that will be one day our savior. Yes. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Any short question, okay? Short and short. Everything short question. Answer also short period. Yes, another.
I just wanted to say something. When I was in Sri Lanka, the people, they had a tradition there. It's called Pingpota, blessing book. They used to do good meritorious things, and they would write it down in a book.
They recorded, yeah.
And when they were old or sick or getting ready to die, the monks would come and they would read that, and they would be reminded of all the good things that they did, so that they can take that state of consciousness to the next life.
Yeah.
That was very beautiful. I remember when seeing that. When they were not looking, I would open the book and start making up good karma.
Well, the advanced version, I have an app. It's not Ping Potter, but I have an app called Day One. So every day, I don't do every day, but whenever I'm traveling, whenever there's a few moments, I take a picture and I write a brief, my experience. I have, from the time I came here, so first trip to Texas, I have a picture and I wrote, this is the topic I talked, and this made me think of these other suttas. It was nice to meet these people, the ups and downs. So it will be a good place to start. And I thank you. That's a good place to start, like some journaling, like spiritual journaling. Yeah.
All right. Thank you again for everybody, and we will turn the page 4 and page 10. Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Sama Sambuddhassa. Namo Tassa
Bhagavato Arahato Sama sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Buddhang saranang gacchami. Dhammang saranang gacchami. Sanghang saranang gacchami.
Sentient beings are numberless. I vow to save them all. The living passions are inexhaustible. I vow to end them all. Dhamma ways are limitless. I vow to study them all. Buddha's way is supreme. I vow to attain it. May suffering ones be suffering free, and the fear-struck fearless be. May the grieving shed all grief, and the sick find health relief. Thank you for everybody. We have tea and cookies, and next Sunday, Subodha is going to do a Dhamma talk. If you are interested in more meditation, we have every Sunday 10 o'clock meditation starting 10 to 10:45, almost 45 minutes meditation. Please come and join next Sunday also. Every Sunday we have meditation 10 o'clock. Please come and join. Again, thank you so much, Sai, about your good Dhamma talks. I think, I don't know how long we're going to continue this Dhamma talk. So it's very, very, very much interesting. People really like you. I know some people really want to come to your talk. So I myself also am really interesting. So I thank you again, and I want to say thanks for our good students. We need also this time because Vinith is introduced a side for me. The beginning about 2013. Yes, Vinith said to me, Bante, we have the Dhammapal. His name is Dhammapal in that time. We have Dhammapal, we can invite. I say, yes, please invite. So he come here first time and we feed him very well. You know, since that he always coming here and giving good Dhamma talks. I don't say other Dhamma teachers bad or anything. It's good Dhamma talk. And so we are really happy and we are really appreciate about your help for the Buddhism. Thank you again, Sai. By the power of the Buddha, Dhamma and the Sangha, you all be well and happy. Thank you. Sadhu, sadhu,